Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on Twelfth Night and we've made it to Act 5. Huzzah! Quick side note, as I'm recording this, it's really hot and humid, so my hair is very stupid, but please pardon that. It's beside the point. We're in Act 5 of Twelfth Night, and we're going to get to hear from Anthonio today. And if you remember, Anthonio is like a sea captain who's probably in love with Sebastian and who jumped into the middle of what he thought was a fight between Sebastian and Sir Andrew Aguecheek, but was really a fight between Viola and Sir Andrew Aguecheek, Viola dressed as Cesario. And in that whole thing, Anthonio ended up getting arrested because he was involved in a sea battle against Illyria quite some time ago, wherein he probably had more success than the Illyrians did. So he has been arrested, and he was asking Sebastian for help, but since that wasn't actually Sebastian, it was Viola dressed as Cesario, he's also really miffed that Sebastian didn't help him. But Viola's takeaway from this whole thing was that Sebastian is probably alive somewhere still on the island, so she went running off to find him. Sir Andrew Aguecheek went running off after her, Cesario, but ended up finding the real Sebastian instead and hit him, and Sebastian hit him back, and then that's a whole thing. But then Olivia jumps in the middle of it and she thinks that Sebastian is Cesario, so she's like, come on back to my place and I'll help you out, and Sebastian's like, okay, cool. And then the story that we have going on with the clowns right now, Malvolio has been locked up. They think he's crazy because he was wearing cross-gartered yellow stockings and smiling at everybody, which are obvious signs of insanity. So they locked him up and keep trying to convince him that he is more and more crazy than he actually is. But he was able to convince Festi to get him ink and paper and pen and a light so that he would be able to write a letter to Olivia, because he's pretty sure that if he can send a letter to Olivia, she'll let him out. He'll be able to explain everything and she'll let him out. And then yesterday in Act 4, Scene 3, we had Sebastian and Olivia, where Sebastian's like, pinch me, I must be dreaming. There's too much good stuff going on here. And then Olivia's like, hey, want to go get married? And he's like, sure. And she's like, okay, and we don't have to tell anybody about it. And he's like, okay. And that was the end of Act 4. So Act 5 only has one scene in it. It's Act 5, Scene 1. And it starts out with Fabian trying to get Malvolio's letter from Festi, just being like, let me read it, let me read it, let me read it. But Festi is not handing over the letter. And then Duke Orsino, along with Viola dressed as Cesario and his other attendants, Curio and a bunch of others, come in because they're going to Olivia's house. Orsino is finally going to try courting Olivia on his own behalf instead of sending Cesario. But they run into Festi at the gate, and Orsino and Festi get into a little bit of a back and forth wordplay type thing, which Orsino finds very entertaining, so he gives Festi some money, who then turns it into, and then give me another one, and then give me another one, and then give me another one, until finally Orsino's like, yeah, stop, go get Olivia, and then maybe you'll get some more money. So Festi goes off to get Olivia. And at that time, Anthonio and the arresting officers walk by, and Viola, as Cesario, is like, hey, that's the guy that helped me. And Orsino's like, I recognize him. He was in that sea battle against us. And Viola's like, but he was really helpful. Like, he jumped in to protect me in this fight. And Orsino's like, yeah, but he's a pirate and a thief. And what on earth would bring such scum to Illyria? Like, what are you even doing here? And Anthonio replies, Orsino, noble sir, be pleased that I shake off these names you give me. Anthonio never yet was thief or pirate, though I confess, on base and ground enough, Orsino's enemy. A witchcraft drew me hither. That most ungrateful boy there by your side, from the rude sea's enraged and foamy mouth, did I redeem. A wreck past hope he was. His life I gave him, and did thereto add my love, without retention or restraint, all in his dedication. For his sake did I expose myself, pure for his love, into the danger of this adverse town. Drew to defend him when he was beset, where, being apprehended, his false cunning, not meaning to partake with me in danger, taught him to face me out of his acquaintance, and grew a 20 years removed thing, while one would wink. Denied me mine own purse, which I had recommended to his use not half an hour before. So what Antonio is saying is, hang on, I'm not as bad as you think I am, though we are kind of enemies, but I'm here because I'm in love with that guy. That guy, he thinks is Sebastian, but really it's Viola dressed as Cesario. So then he launches into his history with Sebastian, you know, saving him from the shipwreck, nursing him back to health, following him to Illyria, even though he knew that it was going to be dangerous for himself, getting them accommodation, giving him his purse so that he could buy some money or buy some trinkets or whatever, and then trying to defend him right before he gets arrested. And Orsino's like, wait, what? No, this guy's been my attendant for the last 3 months, so like, you're crazy. At which point Olivia walks in, and Antonio like tries to rebut, but Orsino's like, hang on a second, I'll get back to you. But seriously, he's been with me for 3 months, and turns his focus to Olivia, which is where we will pick up tomorrow. So I will see you then. Mwah.